Hi everyone, I'm Mindy Takamiya. I'm a designer slash illustrator for science communication working at Kyoto University's research institute called iCeMS. And, well, before I begin my talk, I believe that most of the people who work in university PR offices are not like professional designers, right? And I think Japanese university tend to not hire enough people for public relations. So most PR team are so small, consisting of a couple of people, including administrative staff and hopefully like some PIOs or science communication experts. And first of all, as my basic idea for design work at universities, I would like to say that if you have the money and enough time, please ask professionals to produce good quality work because that's so essential for your institute's branding. And sometimes researchers don't know what the job of a peer officer is, and and ask you to design posters, websites, or whatever on your own, and without securing enough amount of budget for PR. And in such cases, please rethink whether you are a graphic designer or a web programmer, and then proudly say, no, I can't do that because I'm a public relations officer or PIO. And so, yeah, so please, yeah, just, proudly say that and be proud of your work. And that's what I wanted to say. And yeah, so with that being said, I think there are still some design works that PR officers have to do by themselves. A typical example is the presentation slides, and also sometimes you might have to make an easy event flyers yourself because the project or your institute don't have enough budget. So today, I would like to share the basic ideas you need to keep in mind when you design things, and simple tips to do actual works. All right. So first of all, how many of you guys think that visual work is not my thing? Or some of you might think that you have no idea where to start when it comes to creating visuals, or that you don't feel like you'd ever understand it. And if you know what design is, you'll feel more comfortable about it. So what is design? What do designers do? Like, what do, let's say, artists do? Basically, art is the purpose of creation itself, right? So art is the expression of what comes out of the artist's own mind, and the expression itself is the purpose of the creation. So to put it simply, art is very subjective, and art can be subjective in other way too. For example, if you see something and think it is beautiful or artistic, that can be a piece of art to you, I mean, the viewer, right? And in any sense, art for someone cannot be defined by another person. And that's why art is very subjective and could be said more feeling based. While I said that art is purpose itself for artists, design is not a purpose of creation itself for designers. Designers always have different purposes than itself, and they are created to realize some other goals. Oops. And especially visual designs are usually created to convey certain messages to someone else based on the psychology of the message receivers. Designers organize the elements very logically, adding what's necessary and removing what's unnecessary, all based on explainable reasons. So in that sense, design is so much more objective. And sometimes the design work can be art to some viewers from the viewer side. If you see something and you are moved by it, and if you think that's an art to you, then that's an art to you. But from a creator's perspective, the difference is very clear. So designing is a super logical process, and once you understand the key points, it's not so difficult to make your work look nice to a certain level. And points to cursor, here are the basic points you need to think about. And yeah, This, colors, fonts, contrast and hierarchy, layout, images and logos. So pretty simple. Let's start with colors. So colors, you might have seen this kind of circle, coloring, and you probably know that red, orange, yellow are warm colors, whilst blue or purple are cool colors, right? And different colors have different meanings behind it, right? Well, red is obviously passionate, very passionate color, and also alert because it's the color of blood, right? So people are alert to red. So each color has different meaning. So we have to note that when we are picking colors. And white represents purity or cleanliness, while black is confidence and power. So with that in mind, we have to pick colors for our design, but picking colors for your design is not too scary. For text and a basic color, just stick to neutral colors, like those basic colors. And then for an accent color, use something different, like the one on the right, like reddish color. And if it's necessary, you can choose a primary color to make the identity of the throughout design. So the primary color can be like a part of, like a little part of all the slides, or if you are using the primary color for a poster, that can be a dominating color of the poster. But anyways, you can pick any color you want. But if it's not necessary, you don't have to pick anything. I mean, well, like my presentation, basically it stays in neutral monochromatic color, so I can stay, without any primary color, or I can say primary color is just white. So when you choose a color, just try to avoid. Oh, sorry, but so when you're choosing primary color or accent color, just avoid any super vivid colors like red of red or blue of blue. So first of all, please look at this, and it has so many colors. And first of all, try not to use so many different colors in one page. But if you have to use different colors, try to avoid using highly saturated colors. That means super vivid red, super vivid blue, or any extremely vivid colors that usually don't do any good. So please try to tone it down, and like this, and that will be so much softer and easier to see. And you probably have also heard complementary colors. Combination of complementary colors can give vibrant feelings and can be a good accent in your design. But there's one thing we have to be careful. A combination of complementary colors can sometimes go super duper vibrant, as wild as this. And the combination makes it really flickering, and it's kind of hard to keep looking at it. In that case, you might want to try toning down the color like this, and that makes it so much easier. So be careful with the colors. Try not to use super vivid colors, and also be careful with the complementary colors. And let's go to the fonts. Fonts, I might not have to explain this at the beginning, but you probably know that serifs, there are two kinds of fonts, like serifs and sans serifs. And you probably know that serifs are those small strokes attached to the ends, and sans serif means without serif, right? And serif fonts give more classic and traditional impression, while sans serif fonts give more modern impression. And these are representative pre-installed fonts in Mac and Windows. So if your computer is one of those, you have some or possibly all of them in your computer. And these fonts listed here are all good fonts, but I should if I should choose one, I definitely recommend Helvetica. And I believe a lot of designers would say the same thing. Helvetica is so neutral in a good way and timeless, clean, so it fits most of kinds of design. Especially, I recommend Helvetica Noe because of its number of weight variations, and that makes design work so much easier. Because using so many kinds of fonts, I mean, not weight, but not different kinds of fonts, can easily make your design look lacking consistency. That's why instead of using numbers of different kinds of fonts, we want to just pick one good font with enough weight variations. And that's why I recommend Helvetica Neue. And but if your computer doesn't have Helvetica Neue or Helvetica, I also recommend downloading Google fonts. Google fonts are designed for web design, and but they can actually go well with other media too. And you can download Google fonts for free. So for sans serif, for serif, I chose Source Serif Pro, and for Japanese, Noto Serif JP. And for sans serif, I recommend Roboto, and for Japanese, Noto Sans JP. Noto Phone series is actually ready in so many different kinds of language sets, and I don't know well about other language sets than English and Japanese, but Japanese, for some reason, it comes with so many weight levels, so it's really good. Okay, now, there are also certain kinds of fonts that professionals always avoid using. Comic Sans, Brush Script, Courier, Impact, and for Japanese, HG series, MS series. Well, HGP series and MSP series are also the same. And they're either once became popular, but now look super outdated, or just bitmap fonts made for all Windows systems and in ancient times. So please do not use these fonts for your design whatsoever. Okay, now contrast and hierarchy. You can already see the contrast here, right? To make the impact important part stand out, just go bold and make it big. And well, the end is actually not so important. So this is the thinnest font weight. So don't worry, it just you can go bold, and this is kind of wild contrast, but this actually working here. And so you can make contrast with font weight and also like sizes or colors. And let's talk about layout. And first, alignment. If you look at this, you can see option 1 and 2 and 3. And obviously, you want to align these 3, right? So alignment is very important to make your design look clean and organized. If you have these 3 elements, you might want to do this, right? And if you have a paragraph of long text, align it to the left instead of the center or the right if you don't have special reasons, since it makes your text much easier to read. But if the language is in Japanese, be sure to justify it at the both ends. That makes it much more cleaner. And make sure that you're paying attention to alignments of all elements. Like, if you have this, and now you want to go probably like this. And so if you go like this, you can see everything is now aligned very clean. Okay. Also, please use grids. I never design anything without using grids, actually. And I believe all trained professional designers use grids. So please use grids. Okay, now think about layouts, iFlow. So what are people seeing when they look at materials or documents? Human eyes naturally go top left of the document at first, and then flow down to the bottom right. So putting important information right here, or set the focal point here, I mean some eye catcher right here, and then bring the flow down to the important information here. Then yeah, that can allow viewers instantly know that what you want to put emphasis on. And if you're making step-by-step explanations or you have some orders, then you probably want to follow the iFlow like this. But actually, this flow kind of depends on the writing system of the language, not like universal for all human. And so when you're writing in English, this perfectly works. But Japanese can be written either vertically or horizontally, and Japanese vertical writings go from the right to left, so Japanese people detect the direction of the flow naturally at the moment they see the material. They just unconsciously switch the way they look at the material. So now things go like this and this, so you need to keep that in mind. And let's go to the next part, proximity and negative spaces. Proximity is basically how we put certain elements close to each other to show relationships in each content. And I think we all do that, to organize information. So that's the first step. And look at this. I put all the related elements close to each other, illustrations and descriptions. And here it is. You probably find it still difficult to tell which text information belong to which image, right? And well, first of all, this is totally neglecting the iFlow, and it's good. It has hierarchy between images, which images bigger and smaller, and also text information. But the problem is the biggest image at the bottom right is probably what is this person want to make stand out. But now another image is sitting in the position where viewers recognize first, which is top left, and this is really confusing. So I changed these positions like this, and this is a little better, but still you can find still difficult to tell. For example, if the text on the right is one single chunk of information having two sections, or two totally separate information. It's really difficult to tell. And why? Because it's missing negative space between information groups. Negative space is white space, the area not taken by any actual elements. Okay. So now I've given more negative spaces between information groups. Now it looks a little more organized, right? But negative space plays another important role. The thing here is it looks pretty packed, all right? So now I gave even more negative space so that it has enough room to breathe. And here you can see I'm not putting anything on a corner or edge, right? To try to avoid corners, I myself never put anything at the corner or the edge unless I do that very intentionally with specific design effect in mind. Okay, now, so layouts is like that, and move on to images and logos. We use a lot of images and logos in our designs, and we sometimes have photos or like this, but please do not distort or stretch. You have to be careful, and you can't distort the picture whatsoever. Like, make sure the resolution of a photo is high enough. Also, it is also a good idea to request the size of the photo in pixels, so to avoid the stretch the picture on the right. When you're requesting pictures, please just say, well, yeah, well, please clearly say what pixels you need. I mean, just not say, send me a photo with a resolution of 300 dpi, because it doesn't make sense to anybody. DPI, only telling DPI doesn't make sense to anybody. If you want to specify the size of the photos, say the pixels. Okay, Here, for portrait photos, if you get a photo facing toward left, you might want to put it on the right of your site. And if you receive a photo facing toward right, probably putting it on the left in your site is the better choice. I mean, if you have freedom to adjust the layout. I mean, usually, I usually prepare two photos facing each right and left side so the designer can have more freedom. But it's not always easy to prepare those photos. So yeah, if you can, please prepare two photos. And just remember the viewer's eyes from, oops, yeah, like this. The viewer's eyes, eye flow from the left to right, as I said earlier. So the picture on the left is receiving the eye flow on the back, right? And while the picture on the right is looking, facing towards the eye flow, having a little more welcoming feeling, right? So consider those factors, and it depends on, the situation. What is the best choices? So consider those factors and choose best option. Okay, now talking about logos. Logo marks usually have its style guide or usage regulations. So make sure your design is not violating the regulations. If you don't receive if you only receive the logo data and you're not receiving regulation data, ask for the regulation data too. And if you yeah, well, even if you don't get any style guide, there are basic things that we have to think about. So isolation, white spaces we have to keep around the logo or background color are usually written in regulation sheet. And but even if we didn't get the regulation information, we still have to think that isolation and background color, because um, we don't want to put something like lines or any objects right next to the logo attaching to it, right? So that's what even yeah, that's what professional designers do. Even if they don't get any regulation sheets, they just assume there's a uh, normal regulation, and do the design following that common sense. And logos basic no-nos here: don't distort, and don't box it, or don't put any shadows. uh, these are very basic big no-nos. Okay, and when you're using images and logos, you have to also think about copyright, privacy, trademark, and check copyright and give a proper credit. Be sure you're not infringing anyone's privacy by using photos including people. And also loads can be registered as trademarks, so be careful with that. And if you're not sure, asking the right holder is usually the quickest way. Actually, our institute is very trained researchers. They one of them, he said he wanted to use this specific music to in his slide, and he asked the Universal Records directly. So then he got the answer right away. So yeah, that works, right? Okay, so that's the pretty much that's pretty much it. And just overall, keep it simple. When you're making something like this, just ask yourself, and that's what designers do. Ask everything. Why, and why is this background color this, and why do you use this font, and why is the color of text black, and why is this size, why is this place, and why do you need quotation marks here? Are they even necessary? And why is this object blue? And why are these corners rounded, not sharp? Why is this border in this color and this thickness? And or do you even need the border? Why do you need it? Why do you need the shadow? Just ask these questions, and if you don't have any reasons, can just take them away, take them off. And this might sound crazy, but I'm not exaggerating at all. That's what designers do. And if you take everything off, this looks much cleaner and nicer, right? So keep it simple. Okay, so yeah, just a little example. Okay, so if I get this like information about what is it? What is it? Oh, symposium, symposium. Um, Oops, it has the title of the symposium here, and date and place like here, and venue here, and speakers here. And this is a really very plain text. And what I do here, this is the final product. And so as I explained, you can see nothing is on the corner, right? And very wild contrast here. The Spirits International Symposium comes first, but this doesn't mean anything about and it doesn't attract the viewer at all. So uh, probably the title of the symposium's biggest thing, the biggest attraction for viewers. So I made this very bold and big, and mountain date is big, but here it doesn't mean anything because when we are sending out this flyer, they know that it's 2019. Everyone knows that, so it's okay, right? And then everything is aligned here, and also, well, I think I might have make it made it better contrast, because around here it's kind of the contrast is a little weak, so it might have been better. But yeah, I made it like this at the end, and host information totally unnecessary. I mean, I wouldn't say totally unnecessary, but people are not interested, right? So I made it really small. So that's how I do. And this illustration is also what I made. So yeah, I do all producing things, but yeah, so that's how I did. Okay, so thank you very much.